So far, we have people joining us from New Jersey and Florida, Texas, Florida, New Jersey, Canada. Oh, I'm so excited. This is wonderful. Well, good morning, everyone. It's 11:02, so it's time for us to get started. I hope everybody has their coffee, tea, water, whatever you choose to bring to our short coffee break discussion today. I'm really glad everyone's here. And as many of you know, and some don't, I'm Beth Siegert of Siegert and Associates. I'm a certified professional coach, a certified professional recovery coach, certified facilitator in addiction awareness, and I also have my master's in accelerated coaching excellence. So I'm combining executive coaching with the specificity with people in recovery. As you can see on my welcome screen, I have where our website is, where we can be located, and our phone number. And I will share that again later on in the presentation. But we have about 7 minutes, so I'm going to get started because I would love to take your questions. Please put them in the chat, which I had said a little earlier is anonymous. I am the only one that can see it, and I will address questions as quickly as I can. Thank you. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about trying to keep that spark alive in recovery and in life in general. I believe 99% of us are trying to keep that spark alive in our lives. You know, right now we're dealing with the pandemic and recovery fatigue. Many people they feel bored or afraid or tired or overwhelmed, or they just don't know how they feel. Many people in recovery wanted help, they got the help, and then it feels like, bam, unprecedented events hit us. And after many, many months, many of us just simply feel like, arg, how much longer is this going to go on? Well, it would be wonderful if we had a crystal ball that would be able to tell us when that is ending, because many of us who are recovering from many different types of addiction really were beaten into the ground in order for us to enter into recovery. So this takes us down a path of unmanageability and powerlessness. And right now, I believe many people are back on that path again. So what I'd like to do is discuss some ways that we can pull ourselves back out of that path. Okay. Many of us in recovery refer to this as playing whack-a-mole. Are you playing whack-a-mole? One of the things that can happen is we can begin to substitute one addiction or one behavior to compensate for another one that we're consciously choosing not to do. So ask yourself these questions. Are you becoming compulsively involved in another activity? Or are you losing the capability to make free choices in your activities? And I look at that one in particular like, okay, in my case, grandkids, we'll play that game. First, I need to work out for an hour. Do I really have a free choice when my mind is working that way? Have you noticed that perhaps you or someone you work with or someone you love are drinking now, or smoking, or eating, or gambling, perhaps shopping, becoming obsessed with sex, maybe turning into work just to get some kind of feeling of security and accomplishment, more than they would have before we had all these events happen? If you're single or not single, are you looking for a healthy relationship, which might actually be covered up in some things and in reality be an unhealthy relationship? These behaviors may contribute to relapse and will definitely become counterproductive to your long-term recovery from your addiction and ultimately affect your growth, which isn't that what recovery is all about, right? Doing things that help us recover and move forward. So there are many possibilities, and I think we need some time here for some answers of things that we might do a little differently. I can bet that many of us on this today are business from top up because actually, I can't see you. So you might be completely in your jammies still. I'm not sure. But that's something that's probably crept in. It's one of those things that's beginning to happen. And here are some things we might want to look at in order to bring us back on track, get back on our recovery. First, let's get smart and make that recovery the top priority today, because it can so often, even on good days, slip down our list of priorities. Another suggestion, have daily communication with others. Maybe someone who shares your type of recovery, someone outside recovery, a person you haven't talked to in a long time. Call somebody, reach out, because many of us are on lockdown, even though it might be freeing up a little bit. Some of us are still carrying that feeling of being locked in. So reaching out to another person, or if your phone rings, hopefully it's not a marketer. Perhaps pick it up, because it could be someone you're not expecting a call from. And you can always block those pesky marketers. Really start to center on, or create, if you don't already have one, an overall health routine, in other words, structure. And it doesn't mean rigidity, but a structure in eating, taking care of ourselves, staying hydrated, making sure we get some sleep. Video games at midnight are not going to help you sleep. Exercising within reason, right? Work, of course we need to work, but the other thing we need to add in is some kind of fun. And let's face it, for me, this pandemic kind of ruined a lot of things I used to have fun doing. So I've had to go out and explore and find some new activities to keep me engaged with my life. Set achievable goals. Set achievable goals. Well, that's something to think about, isn't it? How do I set an achievable goal? Well, that's where you might want to get in contact with a recovery coach, someone who's available to help you set those goals, short, mid, and long term, or just a goal. And they'll help support you and motivate you through that process. Or you can get yourself a recovery buddy. Sign up with someone and support each other through the process till you reach your goal. And one of the most difficult things for people who are in recovery for some kind of time is to remember that we need to ask for help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help any time of day, no matter what the situation. And I find, and my clients find, that asking for help sooner rather than later carries a wonderful benefit. And we need to be aware of when those unhelpful thoughts and triggers creep in. We sometimes refer to those thoughts as stinking thinking. We'll go back and start to think about things we used to do that we thought were fun, that brought us into our recovery to begin with. I personally suggest not going back down that road. There are many other paths out there we can choose from. We may just not know what they are. So take a virtual road trip. I found that you can go into the Louvre virtually in Paris, the museum, if you're not familiar, and take a tour. And it was beautiful. And I was on there for about 35 minutes, and it gave me a refreshing view that I didn't have before. Sometimes I'll take a virtual tour with my grandkids and go through a zoo. I mean, there are so many things we can do with someone else or on our own, just to spark some change and perk up our brain and get the fun endorphins going. Or try a new recipe. Gosh, I love to cook, right? So try a new recipe. Sometimes it works. Sometimes I put it in compost where it belongs. But it was fun trying, and it got me doing something different, moving different muscles than I typically would move, having my brain think in a different way, and getting engaged. So other possibilities. Well, it's time for some more answers, right? What else can I do? I can create a gratitude list, and I can hear the in the background, but there really are things we can be grateful for, even if we have lost loved ones, if we are struggling, if we've gotten COVID, if we've lost our jobs. There are certain things, if we dig deep enough, or maybe not so deep, that we can make a gratitude list. Sometimes the hardest part with that one is starting. Okay? Write. Nobody says you have to publish, but have a journal, have a book, have something that you can just write your thoughts down on and get them out of your head and clear up some space in there so some other healthy things can come in and take in that space. Volunteer and do service work. You can volunteer. Many people are part of programs for recovery. Get involved. Get involved in that recovery practice. And other service work, there are soup kitchens. There are people, they need volunteers to help people give vaccines. And if you're well enough and approved to be able to go and do that, it's amazing what that human contact, even though we're not touching, can actually do to brighten us and help us feel like we're just not in a cave anymore. And investigate. I personally love to investigate. Be curious, but not just curious. Take action on that curiosity. Take that class at your local community college or at your local community center. I know it's on Zoom and we can get fatigued, but I find the fatigue, if it's something I want to be in and would like to learn about, that it's not really that fatiguing. Involve your family and friends, perhaps in a game night. We can do that virtually, correct? Have fun. Try playing Clue with a 4-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old, and the rest of the family members. It's really interesting when you get to the end of the game. You can do puzzles remotely. I have puzzles with my children, and we're all doing the same puzzle, and it's a little bit of a friendly competition and to do the puzzles. Just something to get myself out of my own head. Read a book, and I mean a real book, a tactile book with pages, so you can get the feel of it. You can get involved in it. Many of us find it easier to be involved in something we can actually touch and feel, since our touching has become, in many cases, dangerous. Sometimes we can touch tactile things. If you don't have a dog or a cat or a pet, try to borrow somebody's, get a couple little rubby scrubbies in there. It's amazing what that can do for us. The last two things, though, I think are extremely important. Our boundaries can slip, which can lead us to not keeping our recovery a priority. So let's make sure you review those boundaries. Have I slipped? Am I becoming uncomfortable? Am I getting a little too easy here? Maybe I need to a little be firmer here. Or maybe my boundaries are too firm and I need to take a look at those. And perhaps I need to call someone or a group of people to help me readjust those, because I may not always know what's best for me. And the last one, yes, I put in big capital letters, limit your news and media intake. We all know it goes 24/7. We don't need to. Not much news is going to change between noon and 4 p.m. or between 7 a.m. and 3 in the afternoon. We really could use that time to go out and take a walk, connect with nature, take a walk in the snow, take a walk in the sunshine, do something different. I have someone who goes out and feeds the birds, and they are thrilled by seeing that life so close to where they live. So enough about me and my suggestions. Let's go to the chat box, and please feel free. Again, it's anonymous. I am the only one that sees what's in here, and I would love to open a conversation. And at the end of this, I do have a surprise for next time that we meet, and I will be sharing that. So what do we have here? Read a book to someone. Someone loves that. Yes, it's so important, to have that contact, to put your inflection of your voice into that. Bring that book alive for that person. Someone in a nursing home. There are many children who are in daycare centers, or they're at home and their parents are exhausted. There are many places you can sign up to spend 20 minutes reading a story to somebody. And it really can be quite exciting and engaging. Let's see, anybody else? Yes, family time on Zoom with games and music time. What a wonderful suggestion. We could all get together and dance. Maybe learn a little new of the dances, which I'm not so good at, but I can do a pretty good cha-cha and a salsa if they're into it. Just engage. Have a good time. If you have family members that are out doing sports at this time or doing individual competitions, ask them to video it or put it on Zoom so you can watch it live, right? If you find yourself Zoom exhausted, close your eyes for 5 minutes and give them a rest. Drink water to stay hydrated, right? Zoom does not have to become the enemy, but if you're scheduling back-to-back meetings without taking care of ourselves, guess what? Our sobriety has dropped down that list. Our recovery has dropped down that list, no matter what you're recovering from: gambling, sex addiction, smoking, unhealthy relationships. We're dropping down. If you find yourself constantly out there on Bumble or something else, wow, really take care, because if we lower our expectations, if we lower our, I don't want to say defenses, but if we lower who we are just to try to make contact with someone, be very careful. Run it by somebody else, and see what they think. Connecting with nature is so soothing. Yes, someone else loves to feed the birds too. And isn't that great? That's wonderful, because in some areas of our country, things are starting to open up a bit. And yes, the mask might be a real PIA. I don't really know many people who like to be covered from here up every time we go out, but we're helping. And that's important. It's truly, truly important to take care of ourselves and our neighbors and people around us. And there is hope out there. It is not a hopeless situation. Sometimes we need to engage ourselves in a positive conversation with someone. As much as you might want to delete them or hit end on the phone when they're bringing up something you may not really want to hear, sometimes that discomfort will really help you heal, will really help you bring those things forward. Yes. Anyone else who would like to share their experience or something that they found is helpful? We just have about 2 more minutes. All right. So while you think about that, let me move forward to what's coming up next month. Next month, and you're all invited, we're going to do a who, what, when, where, and why. Who, you and anyone else you would like to bring, please feel free to share the invitations as often as you would like. I really would appreciate that. We need to get the word out. What? It's going to be a question and answer, open anonymous discussion. Wow, how are we going to do that? I'll fill you in. We're going to talk about goals and obstacles, not only related to recovery, but to life in general. How are we going to make it anonymous? Well, we have found a way. It's going to be a meeting, not a webinar. But as people enter, you will be blacked out and you will be assigned a set of initials to make sure that you're anonymous. And then we're going to be able to start a conversation where we can converse back and forth and have an open discussion about goals and obstacles, things that are happening in your workplace, things you'd like to see happen at home, just about anything related to goals. When? Scheduled for Tuesday, March 16th at 11 a.m., our 20-minute coffee break. If we decide to go a little longer, that's fine. I do book out quite some time because I'd like everyone to be heard, not necessarily seen if it's anonymous. If you don't mind being seen, you can always turn your video on. But I would like to have people who would like to feel safe in the environment to ask any questions. And you do not have to be in recovery from anything, but life in general. So it's going to be right here on the 16th, and an invitation is going to follow. And why? Because you are definitely worth it. And we need to help each other be supported and continue in our lives of recovery and to spread recovery to people who are not in recovery. But I believe everybody can use much of what we have right now. Okay, we have another little chat here. Okay, what do we have here now? What if there is a slip up? I'm very hard on myself when that happens. How can I shift my mind and get back on track? Wow, that is an excellent question. Relapse does happen. And I think over the years, and I'll share this, I am 32 plus years continuously sober and abstinent myself. I quit smoking 31 years ago. I quit eating over 25 years ago. Not quit eating or I wouldn't be here, but managing my food program. And there are slips that happen many times. And I think the most damning part of that is the person's self-judgment. We can be extraordinarily hard. They can be extraordinarily hard on themselves, and other people can be extraordinarily hard on them. And I believe that becoming and finding a group, no matter where you find that group, who can be supportive and offer real life suggestions that have helped them, may not help the person that recovered, but they are suggestions that they might try. Not everything works for everyone. And the whole point is to find a set of behaviors and thoughts. You move a muscle, you change a thought, right? So a whole set of behaviors and thoughts that can help you develop and not slip. And there are flags that do come up, and that's where it's important to be in touch with people. or a particular person. And let's remember, it can be someone who in your religion, it can be a spiritual leader, it can be someone in a program, it can be someone outside of a program, it can be a therapist, a psychiatrist, it's not, there's no limitation. It's finding what's right for you and will work for you. And if it stops working for you, we get curious and go out and see what's going to help without picking up that substance. But dropping that rock, stop beating yourself up. I actually sent one of my clients a feather duster because she kept beating herself up. And I said, if you're going to beat yourself up, we're going to use a feather duster. No more whip, no more chain. We are human beings, not human doings. And we need to have that. Yes, someone mentioned the empathy, the self-compassion as a topic. I'd be more than happy to cover that. March, April. That's an excellent one. I will put that on for April. Thank you to the person who suggested that. I will get a copy of this chat, and that will be our April subject. Okay, well, we are a little bit past our time. I promised 20 minutes. I hope everybody enjoyed their coffee. You don't need to write all this down. This will be available. If you'd like me to send this to you, I am more than happy to send this to you. We don't want writer's cramp. And then it will be posted on my website. So there are many ways to get this information. It is to be shared and shared to anyone who could use it. So here again is my information. Take a photo. Don't get writer's cramp. Okay. And I will definitely send these things on to you. And of course, I see a mistake in my email. It's associates.com. So I need to put an M there. Please note that. And I'm noting that to fix that. And I hope everyone enjoyed today and learned a bit. And I look forward to speaking to everyone. If you have a question, please email me and I'd be very happy to get back to you. And suggestions are always welcome. Thank you, everyone, for being with me today. And I look forward to seeing everyone next time. I will stay on for about 2 more minutes in case there's some anonymous things. If you need to go, enjoy your day. I hope we have some suggestions you'll be able to utilize. Thank you for being with me today.